The other thing is that all people seem to have a silent addiction that no one is really talking about. And the addiction is not to concrete, although that's probably, you know, would seem fitting. But we are all addicted to being right. We want to be right. It feels much better than feeling wrong. I mean, think about it. Last time that you felt wrong, you probably felt stupid or embarrassed or humiliated. And I don't know how many people want to wake up every day and go, I really hope I feel like that today. We don't. We don't want to feel like that. We want to feel right. But more important, we want the feeling that being right produces. We feel in control. However, the more we want control, the more we desire to be right, the less effective we become. And it makes us more rigid. Our desire to be right actually makes us rigid. We develop expectations about our spouse, expectations on ourselves, what is or is not possible, expectations on our children, on our job, on our performance, on how we can behave. We keep on developing expectations. And if they're not met, or life shatters up through and shows us that, well, we're not in control, that we actually lose it. We crack. We become out of character. We feel broken when we get enraged. We get enraged because we feel like we've lost something or we're going to lose something. And we want that control desperately, desperately. And so one of the things that we want to shoot for is we want to really change our minds. We don't want our minds to be like concrete. You know, if you throw concrete out of a 100-story window and it falls on the ground, it's going to break into a million pieces. And that's the way we are when we are fixated on being right. But if you take a basketball and you throw it off of a 100-story building, it will bounce. And that is the way that we want to cultivate our mind. We want to become flexible, not rigid. Flexibility. Flexibility is strength. Flexibility is strength. So, as we're talking about this, I think it's important. I want to tell you a little story now. So, a couple years ago, I was at a wedding. While I was at the wedding, I was asked to give the toast, being one of the people in the wedding party. And when you have to give a toast, you have to give good advice. And I guess I'm a professional therapist or whatever that even means. So it better be good advice. So I tried to come up with the best that I could offer, in under 7 minutes or however long a toast is supposed to last. So I looked to the bride and the groom, and what I said to them was relatively simple. Today is the day you need to make a decision that will follow you all of your married life. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be kind? Now, that is a profound question that needs to be asked and answered every day. In almost every argument that you're going to see in the workplace, in your marriage, with your kids, is we see rightness. And rightness, again, rightness is rigidness, and it destroys our happiness and our effectiveness. So if you want a happy marriage, or if you want to be rid of the temptation to get frustrated with your spouse, seek to practice kindness first. Practicing kindness is genius. I'll show you why. Now, the man in the picture, some of you may know. Hell, maybe most of you may know. Now, I want to tell you a little story. When Nelson Mandela, the man in the picture there, he was released from prison. He was elected president of South Africa. He made a joke. In my country, he said, we go to prison first and then become president. Now, President Mandela is very different than the Mr. Mandela that was arrested almost 30 years prior. At the time of his arrest, Mandela was a highly proficient lawyer. He's a brilliant man. By all accounts, he was pretty aggressive. He was angry. And he was associated with some pretty violent people. At the time, apartheid, which was basically institutionalized racism, segregation, discrimination, had led to atrocities throughout his country. It impacted him, his family, his friends, his countrymen. He had some of the greatest reasons to be angry. That's human. While he was in prison, this brilliant lawyer was forced to do seemingly mindless work. He was asked to break rocks for no reason, for hours at end. Daily, he was asked to sew bags for the post office, for the letter carriers. But while he was doing this seemingly mindless work to outsiders, something happened. In prison, Mandela learned the secret to happiness. He started to build a cocoon through these little behaviors and habits. And he was able to transform his anger, and transform himself and his need for revenge, so that when he left that prison, he turned himself into a man of profound love and compassion. He had listened to the anger. Somehow he had learned to listen to it, found the hurt that was inside him, and transformed his life.